Hi, I'm Lou Hulse, Business Manager with 20th Century Limited Drum and Bugle Corps. You're watching this video because you're a tenor drummer in our drum line. With 20th, you'll be playing quints. These drums are fun to play, they look cool, and they sound great. This video introduces you to the proper techniques used when playing the multi-tenors. Let's learn the basic layout of the quints and the proper set location from Matt Fonda from drummingwithfonda.com.
A set of quints is there's actually 5 drums. You have drum 1, drum 2, drum 3, and drum 4. And you have a Spock drum. Sometimes it's called a GAC drum. And when you hear a tap off, you're going to bring your sticks out to drum 1 and drum 2, and that's going to be your default location to bring your sticks out to.
Thank you, Matt. Maintaining proper stick control and arm movement is essential when playing quints. Matt Penland from the Santa Clara Vanguard and drumlinechops.com explains these proper techniques.
We start with our basic hand position. There should be just a slight downward angle with the sticks from the wrist to make sure we're looking good and that when we're not playing that our mouths don't come back up in the air, right? So just a slight downward angle. The actual playing positions where you play on the zones of the drum head is about an inch or two away from every rim, okay? And if the relationship between every playing zone, check this out, is actually a straight line. So right now my sticks are in a straight line, but they're still intersecting with about an inch or two away from the rim of every drum. So even though the drums are kind of set up in this semicircle arc, we should still think of the playing zones as a straight line. Don't let the shape fool you of the drums. So watch, even as I move from drum 1 to drum 3, my hand is moving out, not back. Same thing on 2 to 4. Right? And that will continue to be true if we play scrapes or crossovers. The goal, although I will admit it's not always going to be true, if you get to way faster, way harder lick, that you won't be able to be exact about the straight line. That should always be your goal to come back to. So if you're having trouble hitting rims on a certain section or a certain scrape lick, I always find myself slowing down, going back to remind myself about the straight line to help out those type of passages.
One of the coolest yet challenging moves a tenor drummer must perform is the crossover. Matt Penland shows us the proper technique when executing the 3 basic crossover moves.
So there's really only 3 different crossovers we can do. You can either cross over a drum, one drum right next to it, an adjacent drum. You can cross over, kind of skip a drum, so you're going 2 drums across, such as 3 and 2 and 1 and 4. Or you can cross over all 3 drums, where you're playing 3 and 4 crossover. Other than that, there's not really any more combinations of crossovers you could do, unless we started adding more drums. So there's really only 3 positions that you have to master. Either you cross over about where the fulcrum is, so you make kind of an X with your sticks. If you're, the closest crossover, 1 drum apart. If you're doing 2 drums, it's kind of hand over hand, where the top of your hands are on top of each other. And if it's the biggest crossover, you're crossing your arms. Right? And all of these ideas are developed to make sure we're trying to get the best sound out of the crossover strokes, and to make sure we're not changing our technique when we cross over. So the last thing we want to see is someone going really normal and relaxed on drum 1 or on a single drum, and then they cross over and they change the way they're holding the stick, just in order to get that crossover. Now we're sacrificing sound and technique and look and flow and everything just because we're trying to make a crossover look cool or look good because you think that's the way it feels comfortable. But you never want to sacrifice the sound, right? So the goal is to keep the technique the same. That way it'll translate into the same sound as we would on drum 2.
Practicing the proper set, hand, and arm motions will improve your ability to master the quints. Thank you for watching, and keep on drumming.